Okay, one of the other things they had on display was this exploded model of the chassis and the suspension parts and the binc, and it was very impressive. It was on this trolley that had CPC and Co-Stamp, so those are the two companies. Co-Stamp is making the chassis or the frame and the suspension, the upper and lower control arms, those kinds of things. Um, and then it's exploded so you can see how they mount together. And okay, you can see down there in the place it said co-stamp there, and then CPC obviously making the group. Here's a look from the inside. You can see the hatch with the waffle pattern, which looks awesome. It recapitulates the solar cells on the top there. And yeah, this is the largest tub ever created by CPC, the largest single piece of pressed carbon fiber that they've ever made. And so, yeah, I think this was a really, because these parts fit together perfectly. And these parts, the chassis parts, this frame part, on this display are cast parts. They are not machined parts on PI2 and PI4, which are now being called Hermes and Apollo. So PI2, that's the track vehicle. They're calling that Hermes. PI4, that's the show vehicle. They're calling that Apollo. On those, the control arms, the swing arm in the back, the suspension parts, and the frame, those are machined parts. This is a cast part. So this is cast using soft dies. So they're not quite high volume parts yet, but they are cast. So they can easily convert them to high volume parts once they have the money. What's really impressive about this hatch is that it's one piece. It's not like a separate piece for the that middle part, the textured part, and a separate piece for the other part. It's one piece, which makes it very rigid and very strong. And then again, looking at this large single piece tub, it's really impressive when you see it in person how big that is. And look how well it fits together. The seams are perfect. Um, there's no thermal expansion to worry about with different materials. It just works perfectly. These are the guiding bolts. And then what happens is that the frame is actually bonded to the binc. So it's not only bolted, it's also bonded. I imagine that there's some way of um, debonding it. Oh, I was mentioning that they plan on making the control arms a little more aerodynamic. This is some foam piece. It's very, very stiff foam. It's part of the energy absorption part of the chassis. It's like to help in crashes and stuff. So it doesn't look like much, but it does look like it will help with the impact and absorbing some energy from that. I think this is the place where, again, I was talking about all of this while I was filming it, but my sound didn't work. Here you can see the thatching there. That's where it's going to get bonded to the frame, and the bolts, those small bolts that you see, they basically help guide it in for the bonding. And then there's a few large bolts. Okay, now we're going to switch over to the UI display. Now the UI only works for the stationary part of the UI, so the drive part of the UI isn't really available. And this UI is a mock-up in the Apollo vehicle right now. It is not hooked up to the vehicle itself. So what's being shown on the display is just a mock-up. It shows like how the UI looks and how it interacts, but it does not actually control the vehicle because it's not. And then like the solar that it's showing does not recapitulate the solar that it's actually generating. So it's just for show. Right now, it's a little mini computer back there. It's like back behind this thing near the air handler. That is what's showing this display. It doesn't show what it is. Okay, I had to do this a couple of times because I finally realized that my mic wasn't working, but Then when I thought I had fixed it, I still hadn't fixed it. So it was kind of a disastrous day for me overall. But okay, so let's go over the various parts of it. I think I go through this multiple times. This talks about the health of the vehicle when you push that part. And then here is the about. It gives you the VIN number, tells you the various trips, tells you how much, what your efficiency was. And it looks like there's some QR codes. I'm guessing that these interface with some kind of app on your phone that you can like set up the different drivers and set up the owner's manual, get to the owner's manual and that kind of stuff with that. Yeah, so there was a quick blip. So I think my phone was glitching out for some reason. All right. So up there you see about, which is gives you the VIN again and the software version, the different trips. If you look there, it gives you the average efficiency, kilowatts per mile, and then those are the different QR codes for like I guess updating the software, setting up the different driver preferences. That safety, I think that there should be something more on the passive safety. So obviously the UI is not completely done. And then settings, there should be more settings than this in the full package, but you can see how like you could turn on the exterior lights that way. And then here's the controls. There's a control for the cameras, the hatch, and then you can control the temperature by sliding this back and forth, and you'll see the temperature change right there. And then the fan speed. Okay, and you can see I've activated the little compute, the little dummy computer in the back. And then this is a mock-up of like Apple CarPlay, and you could have Apple CarPlay working in there. The Apple CarPlay buttons don't work, obviously, because there is no actual Apple CarPlay um, setup in there because I don't have an Apple phone and no phone was attached. But yeah, so you can see here it's saying that there's 262 watts of charging plus 8 miles added to the battery since charge, and how much time is left until you've reached your charge limit. Because if you don't want it to charge to 100, so if I think like in this mock-up, it's probably set at like 80%, so it's at 71%, and in an hour and 24 minutes, it's going to hit 80% at the current charging rate. But again, yeah, so you see the 71%. The UI looks very nice. So I like it graphically. It's hard to assess how snappy it'll be without seeing it integrated fully in the system. And the UI still has some work to be done. And there's a lot of software work to be done to make all these things work, evidently. Um, oh yeah, so I was trying to show here that you can see the wheel pants on both sides. You can see them from inside the vehicle. You can see the wheel pants on both sides. So that's good. It's hard to see the outer edge, but I think it's good enough that it can help you get used to parking it if you look out the windows. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.